So I was dropping $4,000 a month on everything. Ran out of money because I didn't have a job. Part of that's my fault. I know I could have worked my leads more now being where I'm at. Yeah, so that was 5 months of lighting money on fire. So I had to pause the sales job. Did that for 2 months. Then I hired one cold caller. 60 days later, 2 deals, 25 grand. And I was like, all right, now we're cooking. Now I can wholesale. It only took me 9 months and like 40 grand, but we're here.
200K and you're ready to move forward at that today.
Absolutely. A lot of people, in my opinion, should not be wholesaling.
And this goes back to just being a quality fucking person, doing quality business, guys. Just be a good person.
Exactly. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Deal Room. My name is Matt Walton, here with my co-host as always, Eva. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Did we talk about this last week about you on your hunt for Starbucks bears?
We did.
That was
I still have not got one, and Starbucks still has not released more. So.
Yeah, you out like 5 o'clock in the morning looking for some Starbucks bears. I told it sounded like me looking for Pokemon cards, but so we don't watch. You don't have to watch grown men fight each other in the in the Target.
No, but I guess at one of the Starbucks there were some grown women fighting each other for these cups. So you know, same.
Yeah. You know,
You're gonna have to hit up eBay at this point.
right.
Well, there's $650 on eBay.
Yeah. That's the way it goes. Yeah, that's why you fight over it, huh? That's why you really gotta want it. You know.
See,
You
I
gotta,
could have made some real big money. They're $20 at the store. I could have bought like all the cups they had, sold them on eBay. Would have been a wholesale deal right there.
Yeah. Well, this week, guys, we have a good amount of releases coming out here, and a lot of it is me and Evan talking. I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing us talk. So we're gonna go ahead and get a guest on here. Is really great. Somebody who is living it up right now over in Mexico. I told him I complimented him right when he got on here. A fresh tan, the muscles out, everything ready to go, just living the life. Eric McAvoy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing spectacular. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, man. Good to see you. You're in Mexico right now, hanging
Yes,
out,
sir.
but you're also making money.
Best of
So
both worlds.
yeah, tell us how that works, because a lot of people obviously work 9 to 5s and things like that, and the idea of being away into a different country and making a good amount of money while you're doing it is hard to fathom sometimes. So tell us about your background and how it's going on for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I do wholesaling real estate. The beautiful thing with that is if you have internet, you can do deals. So I just, 2.5 years ago, I was like, I think I want to start traveling. So I sold everything, canceled my lease, and booked a one-way ticket to Bali.
Nice.
And I was like, let's just figure it out. 2.5 years later, I'm still on the road and absolutely love it. And I've got internet, so I'm good.
That's awesome. So you don't have to door knock, is what you're saying. You can get deals
Not
without
have a
having to
door
door
knock. No.
Oh, man. Gotcha. Eva, in between her quest for finding bears, she was out there knocking doors, right, Eva?
No. You'll never catch me knocking on a door.
Awesome. So, how long you been wholesaling? You said 2 years now. Was it been 2 years full, or is it you started wholesaling before you left?
Yeah, I've been wholesaling for 5 years.
Okay.
And I quit my job, moved down to Florida to do that full time. Had a bit of a rocky start, I think, as do most people. And then,
Sure.
I don't know, then I just got the travel bug, and I was like, being a nomad sounds pretty cool, traveling the world. And I was like, I can close deals, and I've got internet, so might as well just, give it a shot.
Right.
And it's arguably the best decision I've made. I absolutely love it.
I would say so. Yeah. What was rocky about the start? Tell us about that.
Well, first getting into it, I hired a coach, amazing coach, but that was the kind of program where it's like you should know what you're doing, and the intention is to scale you to 7 figures. And so I, dropped 12 grand on coaching, and it was like, hey, you need direct mail, you need a website, you need this and that. So I was dropping $4,000 a month on everything. Ran out of money because I didn't have a job. Part of that's my fault. I know I could have worked my leads more now being where I'm at. So that was 5 months of lighting money on fire. So I had to pause, get a sales job, did that for 2 months. Then I hired one cold caller. 60 days later, 2 deals, 25 grand. And I was like, all right, now we're cooking. Now I can wholesale. It only took me 9 months and like 40 grand, but we're here.
Yeah. Well, hopefully most people out there. I mean, me and Eva have both talked to plenty of people who have dropped money just like you, trying to get into it. Unfortunately, There are coaches out there that tell you to do that. I talked about this before. I talked to a guy who had already dropped 20 grand on a mentorship, called me to find VAs because I have a VA company also, and I told him like, go away. Like you don't. In a nice way, I was like, I'm not selling you a VA because you haven't closed any deals yet. You're just throwing out money out the window right now at this point. You don't know how to tell a VA what to do and what not to do. You're just spending more money. Go and find out how to close a deal first, and then find people how to help supplement that. So. Unfortunately, you had to go through that. A lot of people would have quit and just left $40,000 down in the hole, and ran out of there. So kudos to you for sticking with that. Was it when you hired the VA? Was it just doing direct to seller, just cold calling lists?
Yep. Put him on a single line dialer. I got some county data, gave him a script, and I said go for it. And I would follow up with leads in between my sales appointments because I was selling hurricane windows, and so I was driving. Based in St. Pete, I would have appointments 2.5 hours away. Sometimes be a no-show, and so that was exciting. But it was just in between window sales appointments. I'd make calls with homeowners. I'd schedule walkthroughs on my day off. I work 6 days a week, and I just did that, and up until I finally got a contract signed. And yeah, that was an interesting 2 months, but it worked.
Yeah, yeah. You're like me. As soon as I got my first contract, I quit. On wholesale, and I was like, I'm done. I just worked. I worked less in one contract. I tell you about this, but my sales job that I was working, like if I closed a deal, I'd make like $1,000 commission. And I was like, I'm watching this guy. It was Paul McComas at the time. I don't know if you know who Paul McComas was, but yeah, he put it out there, and he's like, oh, I closed a deal, I make $10,000 on average. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I quit. I convinced my wife that I was going to quit, and then ran for it since then. So, how are you guys currently getting deals now? Is it still just cold callers hitting deals up for you? What are you doing now, bringing consistent income with wholesaling?
Yeah, so we kind of have a mix. We do cold calling, BC, PL, agent referrals, on market stuff, and then obviously the deals that come from like JV partners and stuff.
What's the team look like for all that?
We have 8 people on the team right now.
Okay.
And we're actually, the funny thing is the Freedom Pro, the partnership group that I have is really starting to kick up. And so there's a side of me that's like, we need to hire more people on Dispo. We've got 4 people on Dispo now, and I just finished up a call with the head of dispositions, and he's like, can you hire someone else, please? We have a lot of deals that we need to get sold, and I'm overwhelmed. And I'm like, yeah. So we already have the next 2 hires planned out. It's just a matter of timing right now.
I mean, that's a good problem to have. I think we'd all have, besides having too many dispos, at that point.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So you guys just kind of do everything. Now, you kind of touched on it briefly there. Tell us about Freedom Pro.
Yeah, so the basic way that we set it up is, so you hop in, we do like an onboarding call, so we get to know who you are, what your goals are, what your budget is, what your schedule is, your experience, all that kind of stuff. We put together a custom game plan for you, predetermined buy boxes. We have 6 calls a week. We do like sales training, live call review, deal breakdowns, market recaps, all that kind of stuff. And anybody in Pro, their job is literally just sign a contract. So we walk them all the way through exactly how to get there. Once they do that, they submit it over to us. Assuming numbers pan out, we send a JV. We've got the full-time Dispo team that rips it, and they just need to go sign their next deal.
So you just, you put everything in front of them, show them how to do everything. Is it one-on-one coaching, or is it like a big group?
So it's not one-on-one, but the group right now, we have like 40 people in it, and I'm not going to let it get bigger than 100, and even 100 might be pushing it. But because the way we basically structured it is where I run it with Ben, who's my business partner in it. We don't make money unless deals close. Freedom Pro is not free to get in, but that just covers the Dispo team's salary and whatnot. So that's kind of why we structured it, and we call it a partnership, where our success is contingent on their success. I don't know of a ton of other people in the space that run a coaching group, whatever you want to call it, in that manner, where a lot of people just make money from the coaching sales. So we structured it that way. So we're definitely we're very invested in every person in Pro. Because if they don't close deals, we don't make money.
Strategies are you teaching these guys?
So it's mostly off-market direct to seller. Ben, who he actually joined the free group I have. He learned everything he knew from that, and his first 12 months he did 650 grand and 42 on-market deals. So he teaches some on-market stuff and off-market, and then we do, stuff from like cold calling, agent outreach, PPL, all that kind of stuff. It's mostly based on their budget and their experience. Like if someone has a lot of time but no sales experience, we're not going to say, hey, go drop $2,000 a month on PPL because they don't know how to close. So it's like, let's start with some less expensive lead gen, come to the sales training, come to the live call review, let us help you out with that. Once you feel really confident in it, here's where you can put money to get some good leads. But I'm never the guy to just say, hey, go drop 10 grand on lead generation when you first start, because that's what I did, and it didn't work out very well. So I try and keep people as low cost as possible to get them deals closed, and then they can reinvest back in the business.
Gotcha. So what are some of the? I'm sure not everyone that joins is successful, unless I'm wrong, which would be awesome. What are some of the mistakes you see that people make when they're joining that don't work out for them?
I mean, one of the biggest mistakes I would say is not reaching out for more help. We have 6 calls a week. You can message us. You can post in the group. Like, we are there for you. And some people just don't utilize us. Mm-hmm. That's one. And then I think the other one is, I'd say it's like improper expectations. And I think that comes from a lot of social media and like on the onboarding calls we do. And anytime someone's considering joining, like I make sure they know that up front. Like, you're not going to make 50 grand in your first 30 days. Although I'm sure you see a lot of TikToks that say you can. Is it like physically, humanly possible? Sure. If you're brand new, the likelihood of that happening is almost zero. And so I think a lot of people get into wholesaling seeing the TikToks about 50 grand in 30 days or whatever. And then when they don't do that and they realize that it does actually take a lot of work, they give up.
Yeah, I was over here making 10 grand in 10 days on our TikTok, right? Yeah. So that was one of those gurus.
Yeah,
18 grand. There you go.
Yeah.
He's putting it out there. That's awesome. So you got a variety of strategy. I think that's cool to know. Because me and Eva right now we focus on one strategy, which is agents. We kind of do a both mix of that. She does just strictly on market for the most part, and obviously gets ones from there. I'm the blanket method. I'll reach out to every agent in the area, and so I try and find the off market ones that we can. That's how we built it. Obviously, the cost for us is $0 on marketing, unless you count the CRM fees and stuff like that. Yeah. But for the most part, it's $0, and that's the low approach. And you guys have kind of everything. The goal for us in general, for me and my team, is we talked about it recently. Is expanding the markets that we're in through different verticals of outreach, which is direct to seller, obviously, and pay per click and PPL and stuff. So on that line, I mean, what are you seeing that works the most for you guys right now on PPC and PPL? I mean, I've heard the speed was it iSpeed to lead or whatever, and other ones like that. Are you guys using those exact ones or different ones that come through?
Yeah, we mainly use and recommend iSpeed, Lead Zolo, and Property Leads. Okay. And then we also have inside of Freedom Pro, we have there's like a higher tier called the Closer's Circle, and for that you can't pay to get it. You have to close 2 deals to prove, because one deal could be a fluke. So 2 deals to make sure you actually know what you're doing. And then once you're in there, we partnered up with a company called Newly, and they're a pretty inexpensive PPL provider, but in the Closer's Circle, we have a partnership with them where we will give you free leads to close. Those obviously we dispo. So we have that partnership built out, and so that's I love that aspect. I think it's really cool. It's like close 2 deals, learn it the hard way, cut your teeth a little bit.
Yeah. Here's
like 50 to 100 leads a month. And then, kind of the next stage of that is once they have the budget for it, we kind of show them how to hire and train a closer. Mm-hmm. And so the goal, ideally, someone joins Pro and within 6 months they have a full-time closer working for them. We're running dispo, and their responsibility is manage the closer.
American closers or virtual assistant closers?
We usually recommend VAs, typically from like South Africa and places like that. Obviously, if they want to go American, they can. We just let them know up front it's probably going to be more expensive.
Yeah, you're going to give up a good percentage of your deals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I think Eva is on the same line with me too. I have 2 people that are American here that I've had for a few years now. They're 2 old, we call them our feisty grandmas. They work very hard. They are older ladies and they work very hard for us, and they're super loyal, and they're really good. One does acquisitions in my market over here in Hampton Roads in Richmond, which I built up and kind of gave over to her. She's been running. She's been doing good. The other one does my dispo, and Kathy, and they work extremely hard. But from that point on, it's all been VAs of us scaling. So every time I open a new market, I train an acquisition closer from a VA, from, like you said, I like that you said South Africa, because a lot of people don't know about those. So really good people from South Africa that work in those areas. You can find with a really good accent too. But those people in like Latin America and stuff like that come over, and I hire them, put them into a market, and train them to close in that area. And that's how we scale into that. So I like that approach of you guys building it, and I like the fact that you guys did the 2 deals because we have people that come to us all the time that ask for VAs, and they're like, I've never closed a deal before, but I know I got to hire VAs. They're going to do a bunch of cold calling for me and close me a bunch of deals. I'm like, that's not how this works at all. You got to go through it. You got to, like you said, go through the trenches, get told no, cancel on deals, and go through all the crap first, and then finally get a couple deals in, and then you can say, okay, I know what to tell this person to do because I've done it before.
Bingo.
And if you can't do that, you're just going to spend money, and you're going to be mad about everyone else because you can't get that person to get the deals closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. Now I want to know about this, and if I don't know if you can give out this or not, if it's part of your thing, but is there a strategy or a tactic you guys use to get really good at closing PPL leads? So I feel like they're a little different when they come in. You got to have certain ways to do it. Is it just having more strategies like novation and things like that at your table to be able to allow that, or how do you correctly work these leads? Because ISP to lead, obviously, a bunch of people can get them at the same time. Potentially, you can pay for the ones a little bit priority, but it's you got to make sure you do them right. I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, so like when they're first starting in pro, for example, we don't really teach the more complicated methods. Like we don't dive a ton into seller financing innovations and stuff, because if someone's just getting started, that's overwhelming and they're going to be stuck in analysis paralysis. So like right at the gate, it's just cash. But then once they get in the closer circle and we start giving them the PPL leads, then that's where it's like, hey, here's how to pitch, obviously cash, novations, seller financing, sub to whatever it is. Here's how the math works on all those, and one of the things I like to say is like, you want to remove the word sell from your vocabulary and replace it with help when you're talking to these homeowners. And so you need to really get a really solid understanding of their situation, what their ideal outcome is, and then how do you align one of your offers or one of your solutions with their goals. And if you can't do that, personally, I don't think you should close it. Like if you cannot help them get what they truly need or what they really want, like you should probably recommend them do something else. But it's tons of different techniques based on what the homeowner needs, and then we kind of help them like understand based on what's most important to the seller, which exit strategy would probably do best for that seller.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because I mean, there's too many times where we see wholesalers that will just lock somebody up to lock somebody up.
Yeah.
And then hold somebody under contract for a month. When we help JV people, I'm just surprised about the fact that sellers will sign these contracts where their inspection period is like 2 months long.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Like $100 EMD.
$100 EMD, 2 months long. Yeah, and I'm like, that is crazy. Like, if it takes you 2 months, if it takes you more than a couple weeks to find a buyer, like you don't have a deal. Just let it go and let them move on with their life. That kind of thing. It's tough. I'm glad you guys teach it the right way too. So I mean, what are some of the things that you feel like are the correct people that should join Freedom Pros? Because I don't know if you take everybody. You probably have a couple criteria you need to make sure that they check before they get in there. What's your go-to?
I mean, it's kind of hard to track per se, but I think how committed they are is a huge aspect of it. Because the way we have it structured, where if they don't make money, we don't make money. I don't really want 100 people who think wholesaling sounds cool and maybe they'll make a phone call or two. Like I want people who are like, I'm going to dedicate as much time as I can. I'm going to, rearrange my schedule. I'm going to this is my top priority to make this happen. We have one of the guys in the group, he wants to go the VA route, which that's what he wants to do. That's okay. And he's just doing, Uber and Lyft to make, and he's doing it all day, every day. And he's making good money, for Uber and Lyft. And so he's kind of doing that. And so that's as far as dedication goes, it's I want a VA. I know what the cost is. I know what it looks like to hire one and sustain one. So I'm going to go change my whole schedule to do this, to be able to afford it. As an example, another guy, he has 3 cars, they only need 2, so he's selling one and taking that to put that into his business and giving him more of a cushion for when he does quit his job and pursues this full time. So that's the level of commitment and dedication that we look for in pro. Ideally, sales experience is great. If not, it's a teachable skill, but we had someone just join 2 days ago, 14 years of sales experience, and they can commit 6 hours a day to this.
Wow.
I'm like, that is who we want. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Wow, where did you find this person?
I know, all right?
TikTok live, baby.
TikTok there you go. All right, get on it, Eva.
No,
Get yourself
I'm
into
on there
one.
all day long.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean that's awesome. I mean, sales experience. I think that this is way easier of a sales game in general than I think that it is typically to sell anything. Because you don't have to convince anybody of anything for the most part. I mean, obviously you have to kind of go about the offer and get them down and get them at the right number, and that's a little bit the most convincing it takes for the most part. But a lot of times it's just like, does it make sense for the seller? Like you said, can I make it make sense for the seller, and can I find different ways for the seller to fit into it? And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like it's like, again, you're talking about somebody having to move out of their house potentially to go somewhere else. Like that's a big deal in someone's life. And you can't just, convince somebody to do that really. You gotta have a lot of things in place to make sure it's all right. So I think that sales experience helps you out so much for that. You can go from being a hard closer, just understanding how can I help this person, and it makes a little more sense.
Right.
So I'm mentioning this because I think a lot of people might want to know this. Obviously, is wholesaling virtually. Yeah, I work in my market here. One of my markets is over where I live in Hampton Roads, Virginia. But I make it known to my team I don't want to go look at properties. Like I let them know, like it's very like if a good deal comes up in a great location, I'll go and look at it in case I want to take it down myself. But I tell them like, hey, I'm not the person to go look at it because I want to make sure that everything is done right virtually. Because as we scale, I'm not going to be able to travel to Jacksonville, Florida, or North Carolina to go and look at every property that you want to look at. So tell us about the nuances you guys have with virtual wholesaling, how you started to do it. What are the things you put in place to make sure you're successful with that?
Yeah, so when I started, was working my home market, which was St. Petersburg, Florida. I'd go meet my leads in person, shake their hands, take the photos myself, all that kind of stuff. And then, I kept seeing YouTube videos about virtual wholesaling, and I was like, this sounds so much better. I mean, I don't have to go walk through some, house with 1,700 cats, and I can just sit on my laptop. I like that. I think the biggest things with virtual wholesaling a lot of people stress about is like scheduling walkthroughs, photos, stuff like that. So we use for photos, we'll either have the seller send them, tenant send them, and if it's vacant or something like that, we'll use investor boots to go out there and get the photos done. Scheduling walkthroughs, we send our buyer there. If the seller's going to be there, we make sure to have that discussion up front with the buyer where they are to only discuss price with us. Stuff like that, and kind of give them the whole disclaimer. And most of the time, we work with repeat buyers, so they know what we're doing. They know not to talk to sellers about stuff like that.
Right.
And if it's a tenant, it's a pretty similar situation. But realistically, the difference between virtual and in person, there's not that many things that are that different. Mm-hmm. It's like you hire someone else to take the photos, hire someone else to put the lockbox on, get someone else to go to the walkthroughs, and that's pretty much it,
Yeah.
and have an e-signature platform set up.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. That's pretty much the only difference you have to do. And I was wondering about that, about your walkthroughs. When you have a bunch of people, a lot of freak out about that. A lot of people freak out about it because they're like, oh my God, the buyer's going to cut me out. And, you got to make sure that someone has to be there to go through it. My philosophy on it is, you know what, I'll trust them at first. I'll trust them. I'll say, you can go there and you can go. And if you screw me over, yeah, that sucks, but I'll just never work with you again, and make sure anybody else that would ask me about you would get the same conclusion, And so that to me is like, all right, I'll take that risk, and I look at it the way it's like, okay, cool. I could have brought you a lot of deals and you could have made a lot of money versus what you screwed me over for an extra $10,000 or something like that in your pocket. Yeah. So you guys you make sure that you always have someone there. You just trust the buyer as you send them out.
We usually trust the buyer. If it's like a first-time buyer and if they give off any kind of vibe of something like that, we'll usually get someone else to accompany the buyer. But for the most part, we work with repeat buyers, and we have buyers who they'll see our assignment fee and then be like, "Good job, that was a big one." And that's how we like to do it. Where it's like, look, if the numbers make sense for you, it shouldn't really matter how big our fee is, right? And I've had buyers who flip out about assignment fees, and I just don't work with them anymore. If you're gonna get mad that I negotiated a good deal and it fits your numbers, and then you see how much money I'm making and you get upset by that, I don't want to work with you.
Especially if they gave me your offer. Like, you gave me an offer, you told me what you wanted to pay, and now you're paying that. So what are you mad about?
Yeah, it's like you told me this number worked already when you signed the contract, and now that you see it on the HUD, now you're upset about it.
Right.
Like that's I don't think pocket watching is a very good habit for buyers to have, in my opinion.
Yeah. It makes no sense. Yeah, I think we both had buyers that was like, wholesalers should only make $5,000 or something like that, something ridiculous. Yeah. And like that doesn't make any sense now. Not at all.
Like, if you don't want to pay a big assignment fee, go get the deal yourself.
Right.
That was going to be my response.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, well, then I guess you should find it yourself then.
Yeah. Right.
There's a reason you didn't do it, and a reason that I did. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why you're a
we get paid.
flipper and I'm a wholesaler.
Right. Right.
You do what you do.
You do
I'm
your
gonna do
job, I'll do mine.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's important to know. I mean, obviously, like if you're a wholesaler here, if you feel like anything less than, I mean, you're doing a big portion of what's probably like one of the hardest things to do in real estate investing is finding deals, finding opportunities for people. That's hard. You know, a lot of flippers don't have all those systems and stuff in place. They're so worried about flipping the house, and so
Right.
finding the deal and doing whole acquisitions is a whole other thing. And so a lot of people don't realize like you're doing a big portion for them. Like, don't be mad about what you're going to make on it.
Right.
You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's awesome that you're virtual wholesaling. I think that's, you know, obviously as we expand, we're doing the same thing. And anybody who wants to get into it, it's the same process. You just have to make sure you don't set it up to where you have to go places. That's really it. Investor Boots, I guess I've never used them before, but you know, that sounds like a really good program. I do my best to try and get the seller or somebody, like whatever crappy pictures you can take, just give me an idea of it.
Yeah.
You know, agents though, when you work with agents, you have, what's your process on, obviously we have 2 deals right now, unfortunately, and both of them have the agents that say, I have to be at every showing. And I want to make sure that it's always, you know, it's so annoying to have to deal with that in general, because they will talk to them sometimes and we'll like kind of get an idea of it. How do you handle those?
Yeah. So if we're working with an agent, if it's on market or off market, we tell them up front, we are not buying this. We are going to wholesale this, and we make it very apparent, just so we don't deal with, you know, the blowback that could come if they find that out and if that's a problem for them. You know, because also I think if you can build trust out the gate with full transparency, and then you perform now, and I know you guys know that because you guys love it on market. Like once you perform with an agent, you're their best friend, and like, you know, yeah, exactly. So yeah, we don't like to lead with deception, and it's the same with homeowners. Like it's, you know, because in pro, one of the things we also focus on is land, you know, and so we let them know from the beginning of the call. We say, my job is to see what your property qualifies for the handful of developers that I work with. I'm not buying this. I have questions to ask you. I have a criteria that I need to get. I know ballpark where the price needs to be, but I'm not buying this. And so like up front, we let homeowners know, we let agents know exactly what we're doing, just so there's no, you know, issues or blowback or lack of trust or anything like that.
How often do you get them to tell like they won't work with you because you do that?
Does happen, but it's not that frequent. I think it's not that common with how you present it. If you present it the right way, you know, like with agents, I think a lot of times they don't like wholesalers because most wholesalers watch 2 YouTube videos and think they know what they're doing and, you know, lock stuff up for $5,000 under list price and whatever. Yeah. You know, we're like
under list price. Oh,
yeah,
man.
and then try and dispo at $10,000 above it.
You know, but so like we let them know, we're like, hey, I have like contingent on the market. I have 15 buyers that actively buy X number of deals per month. This fits their buying criteria. I'm going to put it in front of those 15. I'm going to, you know, whichever ones are interested, we're going to have them walk the property and we're going to go from there. You know, but just day one up front, letting them know exactly what you're going to do, exactly what the process looks like. You know, and then if they've gotten offers from other wholesalers and they've fallen through, that's then when you can explain that like most wholesalers, especially when they're first starting out, don't have buyers, don't know how to run their numbers correctly. And that's why they lock stuff up and then they sit on it for 45 days and then they cancel. Like, right. We already have buyers. I already know they're going to want this. It's just a matter of we need to get them in the property and confirm the condition and all that kind of stuff for them. And then we're good to go.
And that's why you're locking up the contract, right?
Yeah.
Like before when you make your offer and everything, you're getting that out there and then you lock it up and you're good.
Yeah. Like, I'd say like 90+% of contracts that we sign, we know who we're going to sell it to. Right. If something comes up, you know, like if it's a piece of land and the seller said it has power and then it doesn't have power, that's obviously an issue. If a seller tells us that the house is in X condition, then we get photos and it's not, that's an issue, changes who we're going to sell it to and stuff like that. But, you know, if everything from what the seller told us or the agent told us checks out and the numbers, you know, and we're at the right number when we sign it, it, you know, the only reason, there's no reason we wouldn't close unless something unexpected comes up.
Right. So talk about your dispo process then. How you guys do that? You know, you obviously to do a bunch of deals like you guys are doing, to have a whole community of people who are bringing you deals and dispoing, and now trying to hire more dispo people because you have too many deals in place. I'm sure you have to have some kind of process built out to where the way how you guys work. So talk about that. I mean, are you only focusing on certain markets, or you focus across the United States?
Yeah. So we post on Facebook groups and just let it sit. No, I'm just kidding. No, so
No, no, okay. I think you do. I was like, oh my
I
god.
was like, really? Okay.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
no, then we might meet Daisy, Little Miss Daisy Chain.
Uh-huh.
No, so yeah, like inside of Pro and whatnot, we have pre-selected markets, predetermined buy boxes. So we'll say like if for land, for example, if it's in this zip code and it has this criteria, we can sell it for probably this much. Comps always reign king, but this is what we can sell it for. If it's a house, it's like this is the math that these buyers do for this market. This is how to do that math. This is how to estimate the rehab based on what these buyers do.
And you got this information by talking to buyers first, right? Is that how you got all that? Okay. So like a lot of people do it different. Obviously, they go through the process of trying to find a deal and then trying to find a buyer. But you guys talk to the buyers, get the information from the buyers, and then just fit a property in the buy box.
Yeah. And so, like, if you dumb it down, Freedom Pro is basically, I don't want to say large scale, but it's basically like a group of reverse wholesalers. Like we have all these buy boxes. We're constantly adding new buy boxes, and we try and get extremely detailed with the buy boxes. Like if a buyer says, if it's in Georgia and makes me money, I'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll send stuff to them, but versus someone who's like, I want these zip codes. This is how I run my numbers. This is how I do my ARV. This is this. This is this. If it matches that, I'll buy it. Mm-hmm. That's who we want to talk to.
Right.
And so then we get those buy boxes. We organize them. And then when we get deals that fit different criteria, we just go through our buyers list, put it in front of who we know is going to work for, and then just make sure that they close on it.
Right. Is that what reverse wholesaling is? Like, is that because I've heard that. I didn't know. I've heard the term. I've seen the ads pop up for it. Reverse wholesaling. I don't know. I've never even looked at it. That's what it is. Like they just give you like a buy box and you just fit it in there.
Yeah. There's probably some reverse wholesaling course for $5,000, but anybody that's going to pay for that, get a buy box and then get a deal that fits the buy box. That's reverse wholesaling.
Really?
It's a disposition heavy model.
Yeah. I had no idea. I get targeted with those ads and like I have no idea what it is. I'm not going to pay for it to find out. But that's
There you go.
Like I don't need to learn this too. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah. So I guess I did reverse wholesaling on accident. I guess that's what helped me. And when I first started, did it the way of everyone else was trying to find the deal first and then trying to find the buyers. And that's how I got my first couple of deals. But then I realized after I talked to buyers and I built a relationship with them, like it was so much easier. Now I just know, like, hey, I know who's going to buy it. I know who's going to fit the criteria. Let's just find those properties that fit it. And that I think a lot of people just they teach and they're like, hey, you're going to do all this stuff for acquisitions. You got to get all these people to get a deal. But again, like they don't fully break down what that person's looking for, what a buyer might be looking for, and how to exactly run your numbers for that buyer. And then when you do that, it's just plugging a property in. And it's like, all right, here you go. That's what you asked for.
And that's like one of the problems that we're trying to solve with Pro is, I think a lot of new wholesalers, one of their biggest concerns is like, how do I pick a market? How do I know a deal's a good deal? Like, where should I be looking? What kind of property? And so with Pro, it's like, here's the property type, here's the location, here's the pricing, here's the closing timelines. If you get anything that fits this criteria, we can sell it. And, so I'm trying to dummy proof it as much as humanly possible. Yeah. Obviously, there's always going to be issues that pop up. But yeah, that's a huge part of how we run Pro is we just have, huge buyers, developers, all that kind of stuff, with very detailed buy boxes.
Are you guys?
Do you notice that? You want to go ahead, Matt?
Oh, go ahead.
So do you notice that with these buyers that you're getting the very detailed boxes with, you're doing more deals with? Like
100%.
Consistently, they're doing monthly, multiple deals. Versus the guys who are saying, I'll buy anything in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they say that I'll buy anything in Georgia. And then, like in kind of a sarcastic tone, I'm like, oh, so if I sent you a burnt down mobile home, you'd buy it? Yeah. And like, well, I wouldn't buy that. It's like, oh, so you won't buy anything.
Yeah.
What if I send you a condo with flood damage, or not flood damage? What if I sent you a condo with black mold? Would you buy that? It's like, well, I don't buy condos. It's like, okay, so you do have a really succinct buy box. You just haven't put it together yet. Versus the buyers that already have that, because then you're literally just an order taker at that point. If you think about it, you already know what this buyer wants. You're talking to sellers that have what they want, and you just need to make sure it fits their criteria, and then you just pass it along and make it a little bit of a spread in the middle.
Yeah, serving their food. Yeah, they already ordered. Just serve the food.
and like one of the ways we like to think about the dispositions with our buyers is, most sellers are not going to be like repeat customers. There's going to be sellers that have multiple properties, but 9 times out of 10, that's not the case. Buyers are going to be your repeat customers. And so, like when we're talking to buyers, one of the things we try and say when we're talking to them about getting a really succinct buy box is making it abundantly clear that we want to not waste their time by sending them deals that they don't want. So if a buyer says, I'll buy anything, we're going to dive into that and be like, look, I have a couple questions just about specifically what it is that you're looking for, because the last thing I want to do is become another one of those wholesalers that sends you deals that you don't want and then you stop responding to me.
Right.
I want with all the buyers we have, I want it to a point where they know that if they get an email, a text, a call from one of our dispo people, the deal we're going to present fits what they want. And so they always answer. Like that's the level of relationship we want with every single buyer that we have.
That's awesome. So you guys do like investor lift or anything like that, or just
Yeah, not right now. We're probably going to get into it, but a lot of what we're doing in pro, we're kind of starting people on land just because it's simpler to understand, it's easier to get. It's easier to get a deal. You know, the downsides are usually the closing timelines are a little bit longer, and the fees are a little bit smaller. But if you're just starting and you make $4,000 on a deal instead of like 20, it's still $4,000. Like, it's not a $50,000 assignment fee on your first one, but like, when was the last time you got a check for $4,000 for doing one thing?
Yeah.
You know, so so we like starting people on land, just to make it easier.
Yeah, after a while of doing wholesaling, then that $4,000, $5,000 one sucks. Oh well. All right, close another one. Yeah, you know, you're like, the big ones make sense, are great. You know, but yeah, it's a starting point. When I first started, if I got a $4,000 check, I was over the moon. Like, you know, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm ready to go. You know?
First one was 5.
Yeah. My like smallest deal was a JV on a 1,200 square foot piece of land in Jacksonville, Florida. An 800 square foot piece of land, and I made $600.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
the concept.
That happens.
Yeah, that's when you quit your job right there. For the concept, we're good to go. Yeah, that's how you quit. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So yeah, it's teaching newer people in general, I think, is something that is important, especially if you are doing it the right way. I think there's too many people who teach you the wrong way out there. Me and Matt have talked about that extensively. It was just, there's so many people out there that show the Lamborghinis that aren't theirs, and the penthouses that they're renting and stuff like that, and like, you can do this in a day, and all you got to do is screw Graham all over, and you'll make $5,000-$10,000 on that, and she will never know. So I think it's right and important to make it the right way. The dispatch process is interesting how you guys do it. I think that's also important. What you said briefly about buyers pay you all the time. When I spoke to Brent Daniels at a mastermind, he said buyers are your assets. Like, people don't realize they're your assets. They would pay you. They will pay you over and over again. It's like, they are really important, and that relationship is really important. And so, like, I've sold deals where I've made nothing on it. Like, I've just made sure, like, hey, it made sense for you, and it makes sense for the seller. I can't fit in this. Like, take it, and we'll do the next one. I've done that before, and I try my best to make it as fair as possible. So I'm interested to know, like, when you guys do this, I mean, do you guys do like bidding wars? Do you guys do like first come first serve? Like, how do you typically, when you have a bunch of people wanting the property, how do you handle that?
Yeah. We don't really do bidding wars as much. I know we could probably make a little bit more on a per deal basis, but at the same time, it's like, if I have a VIP buyer that I've sold 17 deals to and I put him in a bidding war with some new buyer, that's going to hurt my relationship. And I'd rather not, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me. If I make $4,000 less on a deal, but I can sell this deal to my same VIP buyer, and I know he's going to buy another one, I'm going to take the $4,000 hit, and I'm going to just keep that relationship going.
That security is, I think, worth that $4,000. That knowing that this person is going to close this deal.
Yeah, because there's been, I'm sure you guys have both experienced, but you try and sell a deal to a new buyer, and something comes up 2 days before closing. Mm-hmm. You're like, all right, sick. I should have just sold it to the guy that I knew was going to close.
Exactly.
He offered $4,000 less, and I didn't take it.
Yeah, we had a deal that pretty much ruined so many relationships. It was a crappy deal in general. We had a buyer in place that we never worked with before. He backed out and then said he had a buyer that can help us out. He was like, because he didn't want to lose his EMD. And I was like, well, we're past our inspection period. You got to get this thing to the closing table. So we let this buyer come in. This buyer, it was like her and another person. They had no idea what they were doing. They signed the contract, but didn't fund and close. And then they went in and gutted the property before they fully closed. And the lawyer over that we were closing with called and cussed me out. and was really pissed off at me. I was like, I had no idea they even did this. Like, how dumb are you to do this? This is another example, first time buyers. Like, not everybody that wants to buy a property is somebody you should sell a property to. Like, you got to be very careful about it. I think a vetting process is important. I think that you have to have things in place to make sure you're okay. And really, like, there's been times where buyers won't work with me because I asked too many questions before I send them a deal. I'm like, I want to find this information out before I even waste my time, because it's my ass on the line when it comes to this too. Like, my name is on that contract right now, and if you don't perform, I can get in trouble, and I don't want to do that. So I think it's really important. If the fact that you guys focus on the relationship with your buyers, you build that up, and you don't do bidding wars, I think is really important. What you said was that we could make a little more money here and there on deals, right? We could probably put people against each other, come out with a little more extra grand on top, but you're going to hurt other relationships that'll keep you from making more money in the long term. I think a lot of people in wholesaling don't think about the long term game versus the short.
Yeah, and with one of our buyers in Memphis, he's like, I'll buy 10 to 15 lots a month, and I'll buy 5 to 8 flips a month, and with hyper specific criteria. And it's like, so then we get a deal that fits that, and then if we put him in a bidding war against someone brand new, to maybe make an extra grand or two. Now that guy we just spoke to is like, well, like, what was that?
Yeah.
And it just hurts the relationship. And maybe the person we sold it to make the extra $1,000, they buy one deal every 6 months. And now we hurt the relationship with the guy that we could have sold 20 deals a month to because we wanted to make an extra $1,000.
Yes. Yeah. It's not all about that. Like, you have to think in the long term. I think in order to stay in this game for a long time, you have to think in the long term. Too many short-minded.
Like my first ever buyer 5 years ago, I have an amazing relationship with him. I know I could sell him any deal because I, treated him right on the first deal, treated him right on the second deal, didn't put him in bidding wars, and 5 years later we still have a good relationship. And there's a lot of people that get into wholesaling, and they see the shiny $10,000 check, and they don't think about the relationship. They don't think about the consequences 6 months from now, 12 months from now. They're just focused on the money today.
Yeah,
Look at it.
My first buyer that I wholesaled a deal to, we just closed the flip together last week.
There you go.
Yeah. He's one of my friends. I told Eva, like, I gotta stop being friends with him because I give him too many good deals. Like, I'm like, he'll give me an offer, and I don't want to say no to him because he's my friend. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll sell him a deal a little less than I could have sold anybody else. I'm like, I gotta stop being friends with you. I gotta make some more money on that. Yeah. But no, go ahead.
And then I was going to say, another one of the perks of having good buyer relationships is, and this just happened yesterday or 2 days ago, we have a deal out in Georgia, and we sent it to one of our main land buyers out there, and he went and walked it, and he's like, hey, this doesn't work for me because of XYZ, but here's the things that make me not want to buy this, and it's things we didn't know because we hadn't been to the property and whatever. And then he's like, so these things to be aware of when you're pushing it to other buyers. Here's some other people that I think you could sell this to. And this is a buyer that we've sold numerous deals to, and so we have a good relationship with him. Yeah. And so then if you get that relationship locked in, buyers will do that for you. They'll give you feedback on the deal, say why it's not going to work for them, and sometimes they'll recommend someone else you could sell it to. And then you could cut them a little referral fee or something like that. But yeah, that's just another perk of having those relationships locked in.
How do you feel about title companies with that same type of relationship strategy? Because this is something that we kind of talked about off camera with Helena Wu, who was another guest on the podcast. She's a heavy hitter in disposition as well. I mentioned to her that, when we build certain relationships with our title companies, they kind of do the same favor back, where they might message me, because I work with smaller title companies. I don't work with the big guys. You can get away with a little bit more when you work with a smaller group. So they'll tell me hey, we just closed another deal with someone else, and this was their buyer. Their buyer came through, was a great guy, easy deal. Here's the information to that buyer. So do you also feel that you guys should build really strong relationships with title companies as well? Is that something that you guys practice and teach?
I definitely recommend it. I think we could probably do a better job of it. We do it to an extent, but there's definitely some deals we just send to, some big conglomerate of a title company we don't have a relationship with. But we try and keep it local, or not local, but kind of like what you were saying, with the title companies that we love and we work with. But there's some buyers who have to close at their title company and no questions asked, and in those situations it's all right, well, I'd rather close the deal and make money than pick my title company. So.
Really? Okay. I wonder about that because I think a lot of people don't have that question about it, because we're pretty strict about it with our title company here, especially in general. If I've worked with you a bunch, then maybe we can start talking about another title company. But if I haven't, Like you can't, it's my title company or not, like or nothing. And I know that probably hurts me in some cases, but it also could come back to bite me because we've done that before. We've given into working with other title companies. That title company doesn't talk to you, doesn't value you as a person in this transaction, won't send you HUDs, and won't like communicate. And like I've had people where they haven't even got their checks from title companies that like that. So it just, to me, like that is not worth the risk. But that's interesting to know. Like, hey, it just depends. Like, are you gonna get the deal done or not? I
Yeah,
don't know if you fight.
and usually like the people with the preferred title companies are the heavy hitters. It's pretty rare that a mom and pop fix and flipper that does 2 flips a year is going to be dead set on their title company.
Yeah.
So, and like some of the nationwide developers we work with, like they have in-house title companies, and so for them we have to use their title company. But yeah, like we definitely like having good relationships with specific title companies and use them every opportunity we can.
Awesome. So, tell us. I'm interested in knowing, like, give us some tips and everything on new people starting off, how you should get started. Whether they join Freedom Pros or not. How they're getting started and getting moved into new wholesalers and finding out how to do this game, and what you think, like probably the 5 or so tips that you would have for somebody getting going.
I mean, I think honestly, like some of the initial tips are probably not necessarily tactical things. It's more so like mindset and your approach into it. I think the 2 biggest ones that come to mind are treat this like a business. I think a lot of people treat it like a hobby or a side hustle, and they're like, wholesaling sounds fun. I'm going to test it out for 30 days and see if I can make 20 grand.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your mindset going into it, don't start. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Like that's huge. Like if you're going to start, commit to it. And the second one on that would be kind of what I touched on earlier, which is setting correct expectations of, you see the TikToks of people doing 50 grand in 30 days. And what they don't tell you is they have 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience, and they have all these relationships and they have a whole team. And like, yeah, they can do 50 grand in 30 days. But if you're brand new with no budget, no sales experience, unless you're Eva, you might not make 18 grand in 10 days. It might take you a little more work. That like those would be the 2 like big mindset things. And then I'd say the next tip is kind of going back to like the buyer thing we were just talking about, is like this is a relationship business. Keep it relationship or keep it focused on that. Like, don't come off and have the commission breath and be like breathing down the seller's neck about signing the contract because you can hopefully make some money. Like treat them like a human being and genuinely try and help them out. Same thing with the buyer, right? The buyer's like you said, the buyer's your asset. Treat them as such. Like one of my viewpoints with selling deals to buyers is like you want to make it as easy as a process as humanly possible for them to buy a deal from you. Like when you're sending a buyer an email, put everything in the email. Yes. Like when I was running flips, people would send me emails with an address and a price, and it's like that's like asking if you want to buy a black car for 50 grand.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Is it a Lamborghini or is it a 1990 Corolla? Like, what's the 50 grand going to?
Hey, at least you got the address. Sometimes you won't even get the address.
Yeah. They're like, it's in Georgia. I'm like, all right.
It's a 3-bed, 2-bath in this zip code.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Yeah.
Now look through 150,000 houses.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
So I'd say those 3, and then the other 2 would be, I would say try and get tunnel visioned on how you're going to get deals, because there's tons of ways. There's on market, there's driving for dollars, door knocking, cold calling, texting, direct mail, PPL, PPC, SEO, whatever. If you try all of those, you're going to get good at 0 of them. Like
Right.
pick one. Right. If you're going to do cold calling, get good at cold calling. If you're going to do AI negotiating on market, do that. If you're going to like whatever the thing is, commit to that and only do that thing for like 6 months or until you've closed X amount of deals or something like that before you try and branch out. Because that's like saying, I'm going to go start learning how to play piano, guitar, and basketball at the same time. You're going to suck at all 3 forever. Yeah. Just do piano and just get really good at piano. And then once you can play whatever, then go learn basketball. Right. And then the last tactical tip. I mean, I guess it kind of ties back to treating it like a business, but set a schedule. Actually, I changed my mind. Last one is think about your why you're doing it. Right? Everyone talks about having a why. Right. And if your why is like a Lamborghini, that's fine. But have a legitimate why that actually gets you excited to accomplish what you're setting out to do. Because if you're getting into it, there's going to be times where you're like, dude, this sucks. I just had another contract get canceled, or another seller ghosted me, or this happened, or the deal didn't pull through, or whatever, and you want to give up. And the thing I tell like everybody that joins pro and everybody that I talk to in general, it's like when you have that North Star guiding you for going through all the shit you're going to go through trying to close your first deal, ask yourself, like, would I rather not accomplish this thing and protect myself from getting cussed out on phone calls, or would I rather deal with this negative thing, getting cussed out on cold calls, deals falling through, whatever, and accomplish this? And if you can look yourself in the mirror and honestly say, getting cussed out on cold calls is worse, and I would rather not do that than get my Lamborghini or travel the world or retire my parents or whatever your thing is, if you can honestly look yourself in the mirror and say that, then give up. But if you can't, which hopefully you can't, then don't. And just keep pulling through. You're like, and honestly, if you want to buy a Lamborghini and getting cussed out on the phone is going to stop you from that, you're not going to get a Lamborghini anyway. So, like,
Right. Those are great. What's your why? Speaking of that, then.
one of the biggest ones is being able to travel.
Yeah.
Like travel full time. And I'm here, and I'm so glad I stuck it through, because there were so many times when I was first starting that I wanted to give up. That's a huge one. And then being able to help my sisters out is another big one. They're both very, like, my older sister's she's an opera singer.
Wow.
I'm sure you guys know that, like, independent opera singers probably don't get paid a lot. My younger sister's a chef. They're both amazing at what they do, but they're not the most high paying things. And so, for me to have the ability to help them out on if my younger sister wants to start a restaurant, or my older sister wants to, I don't know, go perform in an opera in Germany. Like, I have the ability to help out with that.
Yeah.
That's huge to me. And then I don't have a wife or kids now, but at some point, at some point that'll be a why. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, my brother and sister are on their own. All right.
So sad. Matt's brother sister. Maybe we'll change his mind one day.
Yeah, one day maybe.
Hey, Matt's siblings, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I got you.
Yeah, there you go. Eric's got you. Yeah. No. That's. I think it's what you said. The last one, I think, is a great last point to make, and how serious that is. Because a lot of people don't. Because a lot of people get into it for the quick money. Or a lot of people get into it because they saw a person on Instagram that looks like a life they want to live, and that's not strong enough to keep you going through it. Because you will go through it. They make it look easy, and they make it look like everything's great, and rainbows and unicorns, but it's not.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, my why is my family. I'm married and I have 3 children. And so I get to be with my kids all the time. It's a pain a lot of times because, getting work done with the kids that are in the room, like tearing everything up, is hard. But, man, I would rather be here than be in an office all day long.
Yeah.
And being away from them.
Yeah, and I agreed. Well, I don't have kids, but I'm sure.
You will feel that. You will feel that way that day that comes. Yeah, it changes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But so one of the, and like, if anybody's like, well, I don't know how to think about goals or whatever it is, my best friend, his name's Henry G. He runs the Positive Mindset podcast. Mm-hmm. Amazing. And he's a mindset coach. He's been my personal mentor for the past 12 years. He has this exercise that he had me do, and that I now tell a lot of other people to do, and it's the perfect day exercise, where, and it takes time to actually do this, but you sit down and you think, okay, I'm going to wake up on a random Tuesday, and it's the perfect day. I'm not about to die. I didn't just win the lottery, but it's the perfect Tuesday. What does that day look like? In extreme detail. Like when you open your eyes, what color is the ceiling? How does your bed feel? When you put your feet on the floor, what is the floor made of? Like, what does your view look like? Are you with anybody? What does your day look like? And go through, and just the perfect day. Like, you're like, nothing can go wrong on this day. I'm on top of the world. This is exactly how I want my Tuesday to go. Write that down, and then that's your why. Like, if you want to wake up and sit on the beach all day, and that's your perfect day, amazing. If you want to go plant trees to save the environment, and that's your perfect day. If you want to go jet skiing in the Mediterranean, that's your like, whatever it is, write that down and just have that thing be your North Star. If you don't have, something else driving you.
Evans is I woke up in the morning and I got to Starbucks and there was lots of bears.
There's bears everywhere, damn it! Where are all the bears? That
What's
would
your?
be my perfect day. God,
I was gonna say,
I
what's your
drove
perfect
up,
day?
drive through.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's a great one. And mine would be, I woke up and my kids weren't up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They slept until 9. And then hey, the rest of the day is good after that.
It was all peaceful. They were still sleeping.
Uh-huh.
Just give me like 30 minutes in the morning. That's
Yeah.
all I need. 30 minutes.
Awesome. Well, no, I think Eric, it was really awesome to meet you. We're coming up here in an hour. Your time is great. Is there anything you want to kind of tell everybody how to get a hold of you, what to do to get in Freedom Pros, what you're looking for, anything like that you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to get in touch, I'm on Instagram, TikTok. If you guys want to hop in pro, links in the bio. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. If you're serious about doing this, take it seriously and actually commit to it. If this sounds like some fun side hobby, I don't know if I would dabble in it. I would just, take this shit seriously or don't.
Right. All right.
And
10
hit
years
the
from now,
Instagram.
10 years from now, Eric, I haven't asked you about this, but I just want to know, 10 years from now, where do you see yourself with the business and everything?
Decent sized rental portfolio.
Yeah.
Traveling the world full time. One of my big targets is the Horizon Trideck Wide Body 106. It's a yacht.
I don't know what that was until you told me that.
Dude, 106 foot,
Max,
3-story
clearly we're
yacht.
looking at more expensive things.
Right, yeah, I'm not thinking big enough. My perfect day is to I wake up on my yacht. My kids slept on 9 o'clock on the yacht.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, traveling the world on a yacht.
Mm-hmm.
Like my life's I won. That's it.
Yeah.
And doing music, like, not to just add some brand new thing at the end of this call, but I'm also huge into music, so having not like tours or anything, but just like having a bit of a name in the music scene, I think would be amazing.
You singing and stuff too, or
Yeah.
is that what you do? Okay, gotcha. Well, if you need a drummer, I play for my church. In case you want.
Yeah. Oh, I did drum. I drummed for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I haven't touched drumsticks in a while, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It had been 12 years since I played a game. My church found out somehow, and now I'm playing the drums. So, that's the way it works. But oh well, I'm happy to do it. But awesome, man. Thank you so much for your time here. I appreciate it. Hey, guys, please reach out to Eric. If you guys got anything from this, like I know me and Eva did, like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the bell icon. We drop these episodes every Thursday. Eric, I don't know how many episodes we're on now. Eva, I'm not sure. We just dropped our first one. Yeah, we just dropped our first one last Thursday, so we'll let you know. You start seeing more clips and everything else is about to come out. But I'm excited to see where you're going. Hopefully we can talk more in the future. I know Eva and you know each other, but I'd love to get to know you more and how I can help you out and help you grow. But thank you so much for your time, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.